Here's the culprit. These folding plastic sawhorses. The spanner, the limiter, the structural support fails. They fall out because the captivated screws were not Loctited in place, so they fall out. What do you do with them? You see, I have quite a few. Some of them, as you see, here's one of the parts that just totally came off. We're going to rehabilitate these. We're going to add a limiting strap to these that will bring back their utility and their safety. And even if these little trays that serve as the limiting strap and the folding mechanism fail, you'll still have a good horse. And the nice thing about these is you see these thrown away, set by dumpsters all the time. So we're going to go step by step and repair these things, and we'll have a functional product in the end. Some tools you might want to have at hand include a tape measure, markers, maybe a silver color or gold color marker so you can mark the black plastic, a pair of sharp scissors. All right, the repair material is this old-time aluminum chair, patio chair webbing repair. I bought the Frost King brand here. This was purchased at Menards, big chain store up north. And it was about $9 for this huge roll. This is great stuff. Alrighty, I also bought an eyelet repair kit. While I have some in my junk collection somewhere, this has all the parts. It's got the little cutter, the driver, the setter, everything together. And I bought some extra eyelets as well. And it cost about $6. I also bought fender washers and some shouldered sheet metal self-drilling screws. I bought the fender washers to spread the load out when I cinch this down with the screws. You can see my collection of drivers here. I ended up buying a new 5/16 driver for the screws because none of mine have magnets, and it's a lot handier when you don't have to keep picking up your fasteners. I also got a high-temp glue gun. While I own a number of glue guns and craft glue guns, I decided to go for this little bit more substantial element here to fuse these things onto the plastic. You're going to want to put your straps at least 4 inches, maybe 5 inches above the floor, just in case you kick it or something gets scooted around in the shop. It doesn't hit your support webbing and knock your horse all out of whack. So I've determined that my length across here is going to be 22.5 inches. And I made a little mark here, a little jig, so I can cut them quickly. And I think that's going to make a perfectly safe and proportioned design. Here we go. And for purposes of clarity here, I have folded both ends in the nice little double triangles, and notice that I'm fitting it across my marked lines here, and there's plenty of room underneath to put your toes. So I'm going to bend one side back, and you can either tack it with hot glue, or if you really have the gumption and want to clamp it with a soft clamp, do that. So we're going to tack glue this on here, and then we're going to screw it on, and I'll show that in just a moment. Alrighty, here's a little quick tip. On the little folded end, I just take a little bit of hot glue and glue those little edges right there, so this will behave for just a few minutes. And just hold that and then let it solidify. It'll make handling this material a little less cumbersome. And Another second or two and it'll be hard. There we are. Now we've gone ahead and glued the edge here and this edge, so now it's a little bit more rigid and easier to manipulate. So that'll make life a little bit easier for you when you decide to put the hole right there, whether it's with a screw or with a rivet. Then this won't be dancing all over the place and coming undone. Alrighty, I've gone ahead and marked where I want the holes to go. This is a real simple setup with these rivet tools. You have a hollow cutter with a sharpened tip there, and you have to strike it on something like this old piece of junk 2x4 and just give it a smart snap and you'll have a hole in it. And then what you'll do is not that. Okay, here we go. I've marked about where I want my holes to be in the webbing, and I'm using a little tubular sharpened cutter that comes with a kit. Place it on there on 2x4 and whack it so it punches a hole all the way through it. And then we're going to take the little die and we're going to put the rivet on the die and then push the perforated hole through the rivet. Okay, I've decided that I don't necessarily need that rivet in there. That's some pretty substantial material. So I'm going to go ahead and put my little driver on the drill. I'm going to position this on here, centered, level to where I want it. Hold it down. Go ahead and put my little self-drilling screw in. And very nicely, the material does not bunch up. So I've centered it. I'm going to stretch it just a little bit and stretch this side. Then I'm going to back it out and I'm going to put the fender washer on just to spread the load out a little bit. And I'll show that in just a second. There we are. I've backed that out and I put the fender washer on there. And I'm going to thread that right back through. And notice that this webbing does not get all caught up and twisted. So as long as you're applying a steady pressure to it, you don't have to worry about the drilling motion ruining the webbing. And you don't want to over torque what you're putting in there because this is soft plastic, probably polypropylene, and these washers serve to spread the load out and clamp that web down nice and tight. There we are. Alrighty, so here we go. We've got a web on each end, and you fold it up with or without the intact segment, and you've got the webbing right there, and you're still able to stack these one on top of the other nice and flat. Alrighty, and there we have it. All 6 of them stacking nice and neat and all completely usable. They've been given a new life. So snap these up when you see somebody throwing them away. They certainly do have quite a bit of use. And there we are. There's an application, and all the legs are spaced nicely. I'm going to put over 1,000 pounds on this table, and as you can see, once there's a little bit of weight on the horses, you can tap them out stretch them out. There we are. And dress them down, make them all look nice. But the big deal is this is now level and it's not shaky, and the horses are all triangulated and in good shape. All right, thanks for watching the video. I hope you got something out of it, maybe a little bit of inspiration, some ideas there with using that webbing and repairs in general. Thank you for watching the Uncle Skinny Cracker YouTube channel.